Stop everything. What is unfolding right now around Donald Trump is not normal politics. This is not routine Washington chaos. This is the kind of moment historians underline, circle, and argue about for decades. Powerful forces have moved decisively, and the shift is no longer subtle. It is loud, structural, and impossible to ignore. Behind the marble walls and guarded corridors of the U.S. Capitol, where quiet whispers often carry more weight than televised speeches, a rupture is tearing through the center of American power. This is not another headline. This is the moment when the surface cracks and the machinery beneath becomes visible. The real struggle has begun, and by the time this chain reaction completes, the country may be standing in a place it has never occupied before. Just hours ago, Senate leadership confronted Donald Trump directly in a private, closed-door confrontation that sources describe as explosive, raw, and unprecedented. This was not symbolic. This was not polite disagreement. This was a deliberate, coordinated confrontation with the former president at the center of an expanding legal and political storm. The catalyst came earlier the same morning. The Supreme Court delivered a stunning blow, rejecting Trump's latest appeal tied to election interference charges. In a 6-3 decision, the justices dismissed claims of sweeping presidential immunity, reaffirming that accountability does not dissolve with power. The ruling sent immediate shockwaves through legal, political, and institutional circles. It stripped away another layer of protection Trump had relied on and set the stage for rapid escalation. By afternoon, Senate leaders had already moved. This was not impulsive. It was calculated. An emergency session was convened, pulling together bipartisan heavyweights who concluded that delay was no longer an option. According to multiple leaks, Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, longtime adversaries on nearly everything, aligned in purpose and action. Together, they confronted Trump in a secure room deep inside the Capitol. The atmosphere inside was reportedly suffocating. Raised voices, accusations hurled without restraint. Trump entered with his familiar confidence, expecting leverage, negotiation, perhaps even loyalty. Instead, he found a wall. McConnell, the seasoned Republican power broker, delivered the message without ceremony. The era of games, delays, and defiance was over. Schumer reinforced it just as bluntly, insisting that the rule of law applies without exception, status, history, and influence notwithstanding. Trump fought back hard. Witnesses say he demanded allegiance, accused his former allies of betrayal, and slammed his fist on the table. His voice echoed. But something was different this time. No one flinched, no one retreated. There were no concessions, no reassurances, no escape routes offered. This confrontation was not born in isolation. It was the result of months of mounting pressure as Trump's legal battles intensified across multiple fronts. Election interference charges tied to the 2020 aftermath have steadily advanced, bolstered by investigations, arguing that his actions directly undermined democratic foundations. The Supreme Court's refusal to intervene removed the final break. Momentum shifted instantly. The timeline is unforgiving. The ruling landed in the morning. By afternoon, Senate leaders were mobilized. By evening, Trump had been cornered in person. Insiders described the meeting as lasting over an hour, touching on national security risks, party survival, electoral consequences, and institutional credibility. Trump reportedly left furious, humiliated, and vowing retaliation through every available channel. But the significance goes far beyond personal anger. The unity between McConnell and Schumer signals a structural realignment. This was not about ideology. It was about preservation. The institutions themselves are closing ranks. Silence from once loyal voices speaks volumes. Figures like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, typically vocal defenders, have gone conspicuously quiet. Behind the scenes, GOP insiders describe panic, frantic calls, distancing strategies, and contingency planning. Donors are hedging. Party leadership is recalculating. The loyalty test that once defined Republican politics is failing. Privately, senators acknowledge what they won't say publicly. The path forward looks grim. Trials loom. Indictments threaten. A cascade of accountability is forming, and clinging too tightly risks pulling the entire party under. As one anonymous lawmaker put it, the writing is no longer on the wall. It's being enforced. McConnell's reported words, "The games are over," were not rhetorical. They marked the end of unconditional defense. Schumer's insistence on the rule of law underscored the inevitability of what follows. This was not vengeance, it was a recalibration. The legal machinery is now fully engaged. With immunity claims rejected, prosecutors can proceed unhindered. Contempt proceedings become viable if subpoenas are ignored. Civil actions could trigger asset freezes or financial restraints. Bench warrants, while not imminent, are no longer theoretical if defiance continues. State-level cases in Georgia and elsewhere threaten to synchronize with federal timelines, tightening the vice. Congressional committees are already positioning themselves. Emergency hearings, renewed subpoenas, accelerated contempt referrals, all are quietly being prepared. Security briefings are underway. Procedural tools are being pre-positioned. The silence from leadership is intentional. In this phase, execution replaces debate. Trump's inner circle is fracturing. Some advisors push for all-out public warfare. Others urge restraint, knowing escalation could hasten collapse. Negotiation channels appear closed. Every option now carries risk, and the clock is no longer his ally. International observers are watching closely. Allied governments are recalibrating language, emphasizing institutional resilience over individual leadership. Markets are responding cautiously. Treasuries show stress. The dollar softens. Intelligence sharing protocols quietly adjust. Credibility, once assumed, now carries conditions. This is no longer about Trump alone. It is a stress test of the American system itself. Whether constitutional guardrails still function under maximum strain, whether procedure can overcome personality, whether enforcement restores balance or fractures deepen beyond repair. Three paths remain visible: accountability that stabilizes the system, collapse of public trust into deeper polarization, or a confrontation so profound it reshapes the republic in ways not seen since Watergate, or worse. Normal politics is over. The veneer is gone. What happens next will define not just a presidency, but the endurance of the system designed to restrain it. Today, Senate leaders chose mechanism over loyalty, institution over faction, country over individual. Whether that choice holds will determine how this chapter ends, in restoration or rupture.